Shalom and welcome to another episode in our series called Picture This from Egypt. Today we're going to try to picture the grandeur of this temple dedicated to Ramses III, and the place is called Medinet Habu. Let's take a look inside the next pylon behind me to make a biblical connection. We've walked into this temple of Medinet Habu. It's on the west side of the Nile River. This is one of many temples that stand here in Luxor. So picture the grandeur of what this looked like back in its heyday. These huge pylons that we see, with the reliefs of pharaohs striking down their enemy. One pylon after another, and we're going to pay attention to one particular pylon where we have a very interesting scene of Ramses III defeating the sea peoples.
We are just coming.
So let's go take a look beyond this first primary pylon to that relief itself. So let's walk into this next area beyond this first pylon that you see behind me, and we're going to take a look at one particular relief that will connect us to actually the Old Testament. The battle between Ramses III, who's honored in this mortuary temple, and the Sea Peoples happened in about 1177 BC. Some get that specific, some say just a little earlier. But here you can see now behind me, and I'll turn around and then zoom in later, but there is the relief, at least one of several reliefs where we can actually picture how Ramses III portrayed his victory over the Sea Peoples. Let me zoom in now to help us be able to picture who his enemy was and maybe a biblical connection with that. Let's now zoom in to look at the enemy of Ramses III, whom he defeated. So here are the Sea Peoples. Most would think that one group of the Sea Peoples were who we know as the Philistines. Now you can see how they are pictured here with the feather helmets, the skirts, and here they are closer up. Think of Goliath. We know the Philistines came to the shoreline of Israel in mass in about 1200 BC, most would contend. And they developed 5 cities: Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Gath, and Ekron. And other cities they had as well, but perhaps when we go to the story that everyone has heard of, the 1 Samuel 17 story, David and Goliath, perhaps this is how the Philistines, including Goliath, who was from Gath, incidentally, how they were armed. They look like their weaponry, their helmets, their skirts. So I think this is very, very helpful. And Ramses III does us a favor in picturing who his enemy was, in this case, the Sea Peoples, but as we know them from the Bible, the Philistines. So we thank Ramses III for portraying his enemy his defeated enemy, who we know as the Philistines of the Bible. And perhaps one other detail of what Egyptian pharaohs typically did to represent how many enemies they took or killed or captured. Here we see a collective gathering of hands. Typically, the hand of the enemy would be cut off, but of course, everyone has two hands, so it's typically the right hand that was cut off, but you could easily exaggerate the number of enemies that you killed or captured by depicting the left hand too. So this was solved by, get ready for this, they would also cut off, let's just say, the male body part, and it's pictured here on this pylon. So to get a exact number, if you will, of enemies killed or captured, this is how it was done. And as we wrap this up, let's just observe the beauty of the well-preserved colors of this relief here on the ceiling of this pylon. Isn't this quite remarkable? As we're looking straight up about 30 feet, maybe more, look at how well the colors are preserved. When we try to picture what these temples look like in all of their grandeur, this is quite a great illustration, an example, if you will, of pylons being colored and how well preserved they are still today. The deep reliefs of this pylon and a well-known symbol in ancient Egyptian, the Ankh, the sign of life. Here is more color, fully displayed on the third pylon. Look at these pillars, the roof, the ceiling. Unbelievable color preservation. Look how large these pillars are as well. They're massive. In both directions that we look, we see impressive pillars and colors well preserved. So picturing what a temple looked like here in Egypt, there are many of them, of course. This is one that was built in honor of Ramses III. And on this second pylon that we just saw is his defeat of the Sea Peoples. A strong biblical connection. And I think that's quite important as we try to even picture what the Philistines looked like when they were the archenemy, if you will, of the Israelites in the time of the judges, of course, in the time of Saul, even in the time of David when he's king. The Philistines are always trying to come up the Rephaim Valley to Jerusalem, but they had no success in the days of David. And of course here, they did not have success against Ramses III, this Egyptian pharaoh. So thanks for hanging out with me in this video here at Medinet Habu in Luxor, Egypt. Until next time, shalom.